time for some R&R. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. It's time for some R&R.
Welcome, 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 my readers and real folk. I am your host, Monda Raquel Webb. Book, art, film, music, all together in one spot, celebrating us right here, right now. Every week, it's all art and it's all good. That's who we are, and that's what we do. So it's time for some R&R. Today on Readers and Real Folk, we dive deep with popular author and motivational speaker, Romal Tune. We dance to the music of Baltimore's John Tyler, and we learn how real folk like you and me can start collecting art from prolific art collector Patric McCoy. But before we jump into the show, it's art from the start, as we showcase an artist's work available at blackartinamerica.com, the leading online portal for African American art in the nation. Here we have a beautiful image by painter Kevin Johnson entitled The Influencer. It's a colorful 24 by 30 inch acrylic painting on gallery wrap canvas that you can have hanging on your wall. And here's the thing. When you buy fine art from emerging and established artists at blackartinamerica.com, you can use our special Readers and Real Folk value code, which is R plus R5 at checkout. And you can get 5% off premier works by Black American artists. That's right, it pays to hang out with Readers and Real Folk.
It's time for some R&R.
Romal Tune is an author, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and the founder of Clear Story Education Fund. He's written 4 books, including his breakout 2013 book, God's Graffiti, and the 2018 Love is an Inside Job, a sought-after speaker by prominent political, religious, and grassroots organizations, including the Congressional Black Caucus and the Democratic National Committee. Romal has spent decades advocating on behalf of youth and the disenfranchised. The son of a drug-addicted mother and an absentee father, Romal never lived anywhere long enough to call any place home. He learned the art of the hustle at an early age, from panhandling on the streets to enlisting in the Army to achieving a master's degree in divinity from Duke University. He beat the odds, or so he thought. After a string of successes, Romal realized he needed to face his past in order to heal his wounds.
We never went to church when I was growing up, but we did believe in God and pray that one day he would show up. Because it was going to take a miracle to change the things we had to see. If it wasn't drug addicts and drive-by shootings, there were families living in their car and teenage prostitution. By the time I was in 8th grade, I got tired of asking strangers if they had any change to spare, and then watching them cross the street or look away like I wasn't even there. Even a blind man could see that society didn't care about people like me. I guess they figured it was my fault for being born in poverty. So that's why most of my days were spent hustling on the streets, so that I could at least buy some clothes and have something to eat. Because I remember the mornings when my mother would wake me up for school, hand me $3 and say, son, today I'm sorry, but you'll have to choose between riding the bus to get home or buying some food. It seemed like every day I prayed, hoping that God would hear me, so that my mother could stop drowning her sorrows in bottles of Hennessy, always worrying about how she was going to take care of me. We didn't have health insurance, so moms couldn't see a doctor to deal with her depression. Instead of medication, she'd open another bottle every time she started stressing. In those moments when I wondered if things were ever going to change, I just wanted somebody to tell me that you're going to be okay. That I know it's tough right now, but there will be better days. Because I remember sitting up with my cousin one night, sharing a bag of chips and fantasizing over what our funerals would be like. You know, things like, who do you think will show up? Who will share stories and who will cry? Because it seemed like in order for people to finally see us, we would probably have to die. A Imagine what it's like at the age of 15 to think that the only way to stop the rejection and receive some affection is for a pastor to close the casket and give you a final benediction. All I ever really wanted was a chance to be free, for society to stop judging me by their stereotypes and personal insecurities. And maybe then I'd have a shot at being unapologetically and authentically me.
Romal Tune, welcome to Readers and Real Folk.
Hey, Amanda, thanks for having me. Thanks for the interview.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Life is good. How about you?
I'm doing well as well. I think when we wake up every morning, we have a choice to figure out, how that day is going to go. So I'm glad I get a chance to tune in to hear what you have to say. See what I did there? To tune in?
Yeah. I did that a lot, actually.
Oh, man, I got to come up with something different. But that makes me feel good. So I do appreciate you being here with Readers and Real Folk. And we have a very little time to cover a lot of ground. So I'm just going to jump right in, if you don't mind. Okay. And I want to talk about God's Graffiti, which is, not only is it just a dope title, the concept of which is, I don't know, it's just brilliant. So you say that each person is a unique and beautiful work of art. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think it comes from the title. God's Graffiti was intentional around looking at your story and your life as a work of art. And like any process of creating art, it's hard to determine what it's going to look like while you're creating it. And so to understand that as you're living out your life, the story is continuing to evolve, and the beauty of that work of art that is you is coming about over time. So be patient with yourself. It's okay to make mistakes, and sometimes the mistakes are actually the most intricate and interesting parts of a piece of art. And in this case, they can be the most creative and interesting parts of our own lives.
Well, they say that, you can be on either side of the fence. Art imitates life, or life imitates art. What do you believe?
I believe art imitates life. I think from my personal perspective, every work of art comes out of personal experience and what's inside the person. So we give the world that which is a part of us rather than the world shaping us. I think we shape the world that we live in and not the other way around. So for me, art imitates life. Life comes first, and then the creation of what that expression looks like.
It's interesting that you talk about creation a lot. I love the way that you have married art with life, and your second book, Love is an Inside Job. So much comes to mind when I think about that title. I think about love, that God is love, and inside the God inside us. Job, the fact that all of us have to do work, and in order to to shape ourselves to be, I guess, the best person that we want to be. Tell me a little bit about the book and the process, and how you've used it and how it's helped others.
Yeah, so Love is an Inside Job is really about my personal journey of vulnerability and learning to love myself through the lens of looking at the stories that have shaped my life, the life experiences, especially from my childhood, that eventually shaped the man I had become and the type of person I believed I could be in the world. So realizing that some of the beliefs from my childhood created, life-limiting beliefs about who I could become in terms of career and desired expectations out of life, and understanding that some of those beliefs and life experiences from my childhood were not serving me well as an adult. So I did the work of revisiting those pain points, if you will, that created negative opinions of myself and life expectations and outcomes, and tried to disconnect who I truly desire to be from the past, realizing that the past had value. It was a part of my life, but it doesn't and did not have the right to shape the rest of my life. So Love is an Inside Job is about learning to love myself learning to appreciate my own journey and not letting it be defined by the past. The way that it has helped other people is that through sharing personal life experiences and the impact of those experiences, it gives permission, the book gives people permission to look at their own story and do their own assessment to see, like, where are their pain points that I've not addressed, I've just carried with me as unnecessary baggage that I really need to confront and put away for good so that I could truly become who I'm really meant to be in the world. And then realizing that a lot of that baggage was never ours in the first place. It was somebody else's that they placed on us. You know, there's a saying that our children inherit the work that we don't do. And so in order for us to live into who we're truly meant to be in the world, we have to do our own work so that we don't pass down the negative things or the challenging things to the next generation. But our lives become an example of what true love of self and true meaning really looks like and the work that it takes. So the book gives people, you know, tools to assess their own journey. I talk about my journey in therapy, my journey with faith, and how the two were able to come together to help me do the work of healing my own story and learning to thrive.
That is, wow, that's incredible. I think that so many people look at a lot of the self-help books, a lot of videos and speeches and TED Talks that are out there, and they try to apply it like it's paint by number. But it looks as if, you know, with what you're discussing, it is the person can identify their own journey with you giving them some guidance to do it, but you're not necessarily telling them step by step, this is what you need to do to become the best you, because, you know, we're all, as you say, we're art. So we have to be the author of our own painting. Do you?
Yeah, and it's not so much just showing people the tools that I've used, but giving them an example of, like, find your tools, the things that you can do to become a better version of yourself, be it journaling, therapy, your faith, but you need multiple tools in the toolbox to do the work of becoming a better you. So I guess when I look at my intent around writing the book was not only to show people the journey and tell the stories, but to let people see that it's not so bad after all, that it's okay to go back and look at the past and the pain points. And it's not going to hurt as much as you thought it was going to, which is why most people don't do the work. They like to put away the memories because, you know, the thought is, I don't want to think about it. It's going to make me sad. It's going to be painful. But the thing is, let it be painful for the last time, so that you can put it down and be light and live your life without any subconscious or even conscious burdens of things that are haunting you. So I wanted to show people, like, yeah, this was hard, but it was worth it. And if anything, it's an example to people to show folks, take this journey to become the best version of you that you can possibly become in your lifetime. And if that means going back and looking at the past, dealing with some stuff, detaching who you really want to be from those things that have happened in the past, then this is an example of how that can benefit you, that you'll come out better for it.
I love it. Don't be a prisoner to your past, and to leverage the pain for good. It's a really good combination, Romal. So, tell me, what? So there's a premise. There's a premise that we call it the fishbowl premise, that usually in traumatic instances that many of us have experienced in our lives, then as a result of that instance, that's who we become. A friend of mine calls it the fishbowl moment. When the fishbowl breaks, that is what you become. What in your lifetime has proved truly meaningful, the aha moment, if you will, that changed your path?
I think that my personal experience, and I believe it happens for most people, is that there are numerous aha moments throughout life's journey. For me, perhaps one of the biggest was realizing that doing an assessment of my life and my pursuits and desires, and realized that in many ways I was getting in my own way. And I think the aha moment probably came in a therapy session where dealing with some angst in that present moment, some fear. And my therapist asked me, when was the first time you felt this way? Like in your life's journey, can you pinpoint the time when the first time you were afraid? And in doing so, he helped me to understand that moment shaped my beliefs about fear and what can happen, and how when challenges come, and I'm afraid now as an adult, it's in some ways tied to the same feeling of fear that I had as a kid, that certain circumstances will trigger that fear or that anxiety or that doubt. And so, the aha moment was really being able to sit back and assess and detach the present moment from the past. Who I am now is not who I was then. What's happening now is not the same as what was happening then. And I have the power and ability to change my current circumstance. As a kid, I didn't have the power and agency to do so. But as an adult, I have the ability to change these outcomes. So, a big moment, and I still do it today, is taking a second to pause when I'm feeling something that isn't helpful to me, that a feeling that's not going to move me in a positive direction, be it doubt, anxiety, or sadness that isn't rooted in an experience that's happening, but rooted in my thoughts. And then learning to take control of my own thoughts, and realize that I can change my thoughts and point myself in a positive direction towards a positive outcome.
Yeah, I looked at an interview that Jay-Z did last year, and he talked about how therapy really helped to ground and settle him, and even help save his marriage. And I think that, you've talked about these limiting beliefs that in the African-American community, we have a limiting beliefs around therapy and telling folks our business. So what would you share with our readers and real folk, just in terms of the journey and your journey, that to kind of shed some of those limiting beliefs that they can actually work for the greater good? Yeah,
one of the life limiting belief around therapy isn't good for you. When I talk to people who have had that sentiment and ask them the question, like, how has that belief served you well? What's the benefit in believing that this isn't good for you? What do you gain from it? And who would you be and what would you do if you believed that therapy was healthy, that it could help you, that it could be healing? Would you take action? And what would be the benefit of that? This whole idea of we don't tell people our business, again, how has that really served you well? Have you really benefited? Has your family benefited from the silent secrets? So what's the value to holding on to the silent secret if it isn't serving you or anyone else in the family well? And what would happen if you were to free yourself from that narrative of hold it all in? Wouldn't you experience some type of freedom and relief? So why not pursue that which will benefit you rather than holding on to a narrative or a set of beliefs that have actually become a burden and don't even serve you well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we're running out of time here, Romal, but, I want to circle back around to this art, because you really made me think about this. We look at art. Art is such a visual medium, but in order for it to be visual, it has to come from someplace, and which is coming from the inside, right? Inside of the artist,
yeah,
in order to create it so it can, so that people can look at it and enjoy it or not enjoy it and have their own opinions about it. But art seems to be a really big part of your life. Talk to me a little bit about Art for a Cause.
Yeah, so Art for a Cause is a part of my nonprofit. My nonprofit is Clear Story Education Fund. The website is clearstoryworks.org. That's CLERE, clearstoryworks.org. Art for a Cause is where I host art on a website at artforacause.org. And it is a way that we are able to resource the work of the broader nonprofit by selling art. The art pieces that you would see on Art for a Cause are pieces that I've collected from all over the world. I travel quite a bit, just personally, but also professionally to different countries. And I connect with artists and bring back pieces that we then put on the website for people to purchase. And those purchases go towards the work of Clear Story. That work of Clear Story is in several buckets. One, we provide tuition assistance and housing assistance for college students in different parts of the world who otherwise wouldn't be able to go to college without our support, specifically students from across the continent of Africa. We also subsidize education for survivors of sexual violence through a partner nonprofit called Freely in Hope. And they work with young women who are survivors of sexual violence through their programs. Once the young ladies get through them, they go on to college, and we help to fund their education and housing and other things. We also subsidize the cost of counseling services for families and individuals who want to get access to a counselor and perhaps their insurance doesn't cover it or the cost is too high. We help to subsidize that to make it easier for people. So those are the things we do. We also do some workshops around emotional health and wellness, where I partner with therapists and do these workshops around the country around my story and the process of healing and therapy. And I have a therapist there with me sharing what the work looks like. So those things are subsidized through fundraising efforts and through Art for a Cause. So when we sell pieces of art, people are able to purchase something they love and also do good at the same time.
I think that's awesome. And I also think that we, as a community, either undervalue, devalue, or don't even think about how traumatized we are as a people. And that trauma has been passed down through DNA. So everything that you're doing from, doing the work and digging deep and helping and healing others through your experiences is just wonderful, and it's selfless. And I thank you, Romal Tune, for doing what you do. So how can our folks tune in and follow you, figure out, where you're going to be next, how they can participate with the things that you're doing? What are you working on? Just share that with us before we have to leave today.
Sure. For those of you who are interested in learning more, there are two websites. You can go to romaltune.com. That's ROMALTUNE.com. And you can also go to clearstoryworks.org, CLEREWORKS, Clear Story Works, CLERESTORY works.org, clearstoryworks.org. Social media, all of my handles are my name, at Romal Tune, on Instagram, on Twitter, and at my name, Romal Tune, on Facebook. This is also on my YouTube channel, which is my name, Romal Tune, on YouTube. We have video content there. And right now, I'm working on another book that we are hoping to have come out next year, this time next year, perhaps. And so I'm really excited about it. I've been interviewing people for this book. So unlike God's Graffiti and Love is an Inside Job, this next book tells the stories of other people that I've interviewed and their journeys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Romal Tune, and thank you for spelling out the names of the websites, because a lot of times you're like, wait a minute, what did he just say? So yeah. I'm sure that our readers and real folk will appreciate that. Romal Tune, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me, Manda.
Thank you. I'm gonna give you a virtual hug.
I appreciate that.
All right, readers and real folk, that is Romal Tune.
I was born and raised here in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, in fact, on 63rd Street, and literally was born into art because my father was a painter. And so our home, even though it was very small, was always filled with art. The very first piece was in 1968. That's when I was in college at the University of Chicago, and my roommate came back to the room with a lithograph that he had done in class and negotiated the astronomical sum of $10 for this piece.
It's interesting how one defines a collector. I define a collector as someone who keeps acquiring art after their walls are full. So that when you look at Patric's, I mean, the walls here have been full for a while.
I had avoided acceptance of the term for decades. The moment you say art collector, they automatically think you're rich, that art is expensive, that you acquire things and only the limited, exclusive people get a chance to see it, and that you have an encyclopedic knowledge of everything that has ever happened in the art world. All of those myths, I believed at one time.
Diaspora Rhythms is a group of collectors, people who enjoy collecting work from artists of the African diaspora. By collecting their works, we preserve their words, we preserve their images.
I happen to live in the African American community, but I believe all the communities here in Chicago are very rich. And I believe that if people did just what I'm doing and just move around in your community and look at what's being done, you're going to find gems.
Being part of his collection or anyone's collection, it makes you feel really special. Like I said, it has less to do with the money than more to do with being somewhere where people really love your work.
What I see in Patric's collection that's so interesting is the relationships behind all the pieces.
You know, when Patric acquires a work of art, it's sort of like, along with it comes an invitation to dinner.
He loves the interaction with the artist.
It is a lot of fun to me. I can't get enough of it, really.
People that aren't artists might think that they're not validated to be in the art conversation, but the truth is, anybody can be in the art conversation. Collecting is not just about collecting an item, it's about convening conversations.
When you go to a party, it's kind of hard to get the party started. But if you come to the party and it's already started, you quickly get in. That's what's happening in my home. The art has a conversation going on already, and you're just joining the conversation.
Patric's someone who has more of a vision sometimes than the rest of the art world.
Patric gives voice to the power and the authority that collectors can have. Patric is enabling and enriching his neighborhood that raises the level of the community and gets all of these people to appreciate each other more.
The art scene in America is structured around a top-down kind of concept that they tell you through museums, galleries, critics, who the really important people are, instead of we telling them. You have a voice. If you want to express your voice that you like this, you don't like that, that's a legitimate voice. Yes, I am an art collector.
Let's rock.
Take this. That's right, my readers and real folks. This is a hostile takeover, so strap up for a ride on the R&R Express with DJ Haas. Special shout out to Web Queen Monda Webb and blackartinamerica.com, the top spot online to get that primo black art. Check it. Today we're going to take a hostile ride over to the B-More. That's right, Baltimore, Maryland, to listen to the sounds of emerging artist, musician, and producer John Tyler. Now, Tyler's show is called Sounds from Scratch. And in this segment, Tyler and talented songstress Nan Ana create from scratch in the studio while B-More's Juba Productions catches the whole thing on film. So here it is, straight from the streets of B-More, Sounds from Scratch. Check it.
My name is John Tyler and welcome to Sounds from Scratch. On today's episode, we had the lovely Nan Ana, who is a singer-songwriter from the DMV area. You can check out her latest single, Ruin This One, on all streaming platforms. Before you came, I came up with this chord progression. If you're not feeling it, we just start something new.
Okay.
But
I'm excited.
Can't wait.
First your eyes, they catch me by surprise, but I like the way you look at me. Then your smile, it lingers for a while. Boy, I'm feeling you, you feeling me. But let's slow down. Yeah, but let's slow down. I can't fall too fast. I want this to last forever. For the taking, but why don't you just hold it for now, boy? I like your style, boy. Hands on my waist, and we sway for a while, boy. But we need time, boy. This love is too deep for goodbye, boy. I can't fall too fast. I want this to last forever. No, I can't fall too fast. I want this to last forever. Forever, no, forever, 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 no. we could be magic, but with time we could be better.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of Readers and Real Folk. Remember, join us here each week at blackheartinamerica.com for new episodes by clicking on the Readers and Real Folk banner. And don't forget to type in the R plus R5 value code for 5% off at checkout when you shop for fine art at blackartinamerica.com. Until next time, this is your R&R host, Monda Raquel Webb, wishing you art, peace.
This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk. This is for the readers and the real folk living from coast to coast. This is for the people. This is for my people, yeah. This is for the people. This is for my people, yeah. It's time for some R&R.